Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It's another hot day out here in the Pacific Northwest. Hope you guys are all surviving if you guys are out here. I know it's hot in other places of the US too, so stay inside, enjoy the cool air, and let's talk about Oldoa and Ravies. Now, if you guys don't know Ravies, she was featured in the more recent event, and Oldoa is of course in the main storyline. Oldoa is a unique character that is showing quite a bit of skin. Ravies is kind of on the other side of the spectrum. Very proper, and I love her character. I think she's a pretty cool character. So let's talk about Ravies first, and Ravies is a lightning element MR unit. She's gonna have primary job Paladin with subjobs Thief and Samurai, which is very cool. Primary weapon's gonna be a sword, and she is a unit that has access to shield. So she is going to be able to equip the TMR from Engelbert. She can also equip helmet, armor, and accessories, so she'll probably be equipping heavy armor of some type. She has an HP of 2,259, TP and AP of 91 and 97, a movement of 3, and a jump of 1. Keep in mind though, she does have that Thief passive ability for movement up and agility up, so that's probably going to be set on her, making sure she has a movement of 4. She gets a base defense of +6, which is beautiful. Critical hit rate +17, which is icing on the cake. Her base attack power is 169 +46, putting her in the range, I would say, of around probably about 210, 220. Not the strongest attack value. Thankfully though, most of us have really powerful swords like Nagarok, which I'm a huge fan of. Her agility is 43 +10, so she is only going to be sitting at +53 agility, pretty low. Dexterity, 137 +45, pretty low as well. And a similar story with luck, 146 +37. Her HP does get an additional +15%, so she's in kind of this weird world, right, where she has sub-thief, sub-samurai, and main job paladin. Nice to see the defense. Nice to see a high amount of HP on her as well. Her TMR reward, the Hollow Slave, gives HP +66, evasion +10, attack +117, and a passive, which is going to give you acquired JP up 30%. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty limited, like, niche use item. I still think it would be great to throw on a unit that you get. There's so many sword units that come out in this game. Like, just think how great it would be to throw this on Agrius or something and develop her TP, or JP, sorry, or on Delita when we first get them. Her mastery ability increases evasion rate +10 and decreases AP consumption 20. So pretty powerful. That decreased AP consumption is going to be pretty important if you are going to want her to maintain enmity. So not the worst in the world, actually. Her passives are going to be Holy Knight's Blessing. You're almost always going to want to set that, I think. Defense +12, HP +12%. Knowledge of the Thief, movement 1, agility +12%. Also a very good passive to set. She also gets access to Soul of the Blade from Samurai, which is going to give you that attack 25%, evasion +12, and defense -3. So if you're wanting to lean into evasion a little bit more with her, you totally can. And then earned AP up level 1, increased acquired AP from 20 to 50. Now, there's kind of a couple different ways you could build Ravies. I'm really gonna be pushing for an evasion build on her. I think Paladin sub Samurai is gonna be her best bet if you're just a solo unit. The only real problem though is she has no enmity generation unless she subs Paladin. So you can see here in her sub Paladin kit, that's where she really gets Attract Blade, which is the only way she's gonna have to make enemies focus on her, unless you have something like Vow of Love set on her or some other type of, I don't know, we don't even have one. We don't even have something else that adds enmity. So Attract Blade is gonna be the only thing that really gets enmity on her. So if you want her to be the primary tank or primary focus, you're gonna need to sub Paladin. So you're gonna need to pair her, if you are going the evasion route, with other units like Sid or Shadow Lynx that have AoE evasion plus to help support her. She's also going to have access to Blade Bash in her primary kit. She's going to ignore fatal damage once in her primary kit, which will be really great in an evasion build. Saint Wall reduces the physical damage 50% for 3 times. And Saint's Cross, 196% AoE damage. Now, if you are subbing Paladin, you are going to get access to Sentinel, which will be really great. Honestly, I think she's a very powerful unit in terms of being able to stack evasion. You could even put like mithril armor on her for the evasion plus 18, and then get on some defense from a TMR. You know, there's so many different combinations for her, and there's so much potential for her. I think it's really awesome, because a lot of times when you have an MR evasion unit, like Shadowlynx, for example, the problem with Shadowlynx is that she dies in 1 hit, right? You send Shadowlynx in, Lucia or Frederica sharpshoots them, dies in 1 hit. With Ravies, that's not going to happen. You're going to get at least 2 or 3 hits out of her, right? If she's using Immortal Fighting Spirit, you're guaranteed at least 2. Now, with all of her defense and with the right passive set, she could probably take 3 hits to take down. So I think she's going to be really good against units who have guaranteed hit attacks, particularly units like Lucia and Frederica. Now, Kilfei may be a different matter entirely, since she's going to bypass that defense phase with Holy and going to go straight for magical damage. So overall, I would say Ravies is going to be a fun unit to experiment with. Her TMR generally is kind of useful and fun, so it's something I'll definitely probably be farming in the background. Now let's talk about Oldoa. Now, of course, Oldoa is going to be a wind element UR unit. Of course, they're going to release a wind element because that counters Kilfei that just came out. Movement 3, jump 1, primary job soldier, sub-job Viking and assassin, primary weapon greatsword, armors, armor, helm, and accessory. Now, Oldoa is most known right now for the TMR Horde Apron, which is going to give HP 158, accuracy 12, critical hit rate 9. And then the ability Inheritance and Violence is going to grant auto AP regeneration 5% for 3 turns, and is going to increase the unit's defense penetration by 50% for 3 turns at the cost of 30 TP. So this is a very powerful ability if used properly. The kind of caveat on that is if it's used properly. If you watched my other video about Oldoa's TMR, you're going to know my opinion on this is that it's very good. You should chase it if you have units that are struggling to kill backline opponents, right? So that's like a heavily defended Ayaka. People who are putting, you know, Leonis Castle on their Ayakas, putting Golem on their Ayakas so that the Ayakas can take more hits. This is going to help you overcome that and one-shot those Ayakas instead of, you know, having to enter into the land a hit, Curaga, land a hit, Curaga. Next thing you know, you're out of AP and you're dead. Mastery ability is going to be increase acquired AP by 30, and then of course slash, pierce, strike, and missile resistance plus 5%. Since we're talking about resistances, 10% weak to ice, of course Agrius is going to be coming out next week, and 20% resistance to earth. Innately, 5% slash resistance, weak to piercing, 10% blunt resistance, 10% missile resistance, and weak to magic as well. So kind of a bummer that the weakness to magic came. If we really wanted a true counter, we would want another type of unit that has that resistance to magic. But as it stands currently with Oldoa's low HP, as we're going to get into, she's going to get shredded by Kilfei. Her LB is going to be a 200% modifier attack with decreases defense 35 for 3 turns, which could be very useful. Let's get into support abilities, counters, and main job abilities. So Oldoa's primary HP is only going to be 1600. That is low, you guys. She gets an additional plus 100, which is okay. Movement 3, jump 1, AP plus 20%. Attack, 297 plus 34, of course, very high for what you would expect from a soldier main job. Agility, 59 plus 5. Oldoa is actually a very fast unit. Not many units actually have agility base 64. That's very powerful. Dexterity 153 plus 21, a little bit on the lower side, but her luck is pretty high too at 143 plus 70. This does mean you are going to be able to, at least in some ways, pair her with a little bit of an evasion build. Critical hit rate plus 25. I don't think she's going to be a unit that's going to be built for a critical hit rate build. We'll talk about why as we get into her sub-jobs and abilities. In terms of her support abilities, Viking tips, HP 12%, attack plus 24%. Hard to go wrong with that. Soldier passive going to be increasing your attack 60%, lower your resistance by 8% on all other resistances. Again, very powerful. Also, since we do have sub-assassin, you are getting evasion up level 1, which would be a great way to increase evasion plus 15, missile resistance plus 15% if you want it, and earned AP up plus 50 as well. In terms of counters, you do have counter slash, you have uplifting, which is going to be a basically increase your max HP and a 25% chance to go to berserk. Ain't nobody want to set that. And then you have the assassin's shadow, which is a chance to counter, so 100% chance to increase evasion rate by 8 for 3 turns, and increase your CT 100 to 200% for 1 turn, so you're going to go faster. So very powerful. I think you're probably going to be setting shadow for her, and depending on if you want to go evasion or you want to go the damage route, you're probably going to be setting any of the Viking tips, abandon or evasion up level 1. Now, primary job abilities are going to be hazard form, which is going to consume your own HP for attack plus 50%. Asper Force and Drain Force, very powerful, and Hazard Break, a very powerful technique if you've ever seen Stern use it. I personally would recommend building for Hazard Break. I think if you do have the equipment and the builds, you could build for Drain Force. I know that is what Cabbage likes to do, and he's done a video exclusively on his Drain Force setups. And I also know Machismo out there on Reddit really wanted to build Oldoa for a Drain Force build as well. Now, Grim Reaper, you know, not a big deal. Important note here, though, is notice that Hazard Break is the only wind element primary attack that Oldoa has. Now, if you are planning on increasing your damage or trying to maximize Oldoa's damage, Tetrasulfid is going to be the best card you could put on Oldoa or other units in terms of maximizing her damage. So she will pair really well with Lucia, for those of you guys that have a maxed out Lucia right now. In terms of sub-job choices, we also have Sub-Viking and Sub-Assassin. Sub-Soldier has nothing really exciting. It has Paralyzing Edge, has Hard Slash. We're just going to throw that out the window and talk about Sub-Viking and Sub-Assassin. Sub-Viking, probably the most important thing you're going to be wanting here is going to be Large Throw, or as it's called in Global, Launch. So it's going to be 165% damage modifier attack here. And interestingly enough, the description of this seems to be wrong, because I do believe that it has an increased chance of landing a critical hit. So something to think about there as well if you are planning on building her for a critical hit build. I don't know what the percentage is on launch for enhanced critical hit rate, but you could potentially build her to get really close, since she does have that innate plus 25% critical hit rate. Anti-Bone Spirit also is going to increase your defense by 10 for 3 turns, decrease evasion, and increase attack. Not going to be wanting to use this if you're going for an evasion build. Other than that, Killing Axe, I would say this would be a great viable possibility if you're wanting to use launch from a distance and attack from a distance. What I would really kind of think about, though, is you have access to Hazard Break in your primary kit. Are you really going to be wanting to use launch if you're going to be using Hazard Break, right? Large Throw or Launch is 165% modifier attack. If you land a critical hit, you are going to get plus 25% of damage onto that attack. So is 25% added onto 165% modifier attack more powerful than a Hazard Break? Probably not. So I would say Sub-Viking, you could do it. I think Sub-Assassin is probably going to be more viable. Of course, why I would say that is because you do have access to Armor Breaker, which is a very powerful ability. 210% modifier attack for only 24 AP and lowers the defense by 30 of the opponent. You're also going to have access to Raid Blade. You're going to have access to Mug, essentially. So there's just, you know, Poison Needle as well. There's so many better options in Sub-Assassin. I think you're primarily going to be Sub-Assassin on Oldoa. Now, in terms of equipment choices, if you go on Ultima at all, you do see that they recommend the Ribbon, which is a upcoming accessory which is going to give us 6 defense, 6 spirit, 12 accuracy, 9 evasion, and 12 critical hit. I can see this being pretty good on Oldoa. I think, however, though, for now, we're going to have to focus until we get that probably on things like Alexandrite Rings for the critical or accuracy, Golden Blade plus 5 for a weapon, Armor of Light, Shield or Barrier, or Golden Armor for Shield, Mithril Armor if you're planning on going an evasion route, And then something to keep in mind, we're also getting a Rune Blade event here soon in the near future. So we are going to be able to farm a critical Rune Blade, which is going to give us 15% critical hit rate, base attack of 151, and accuracy +8. I would say this is better than the Nagrarok, or sorry, the Golden Blade. I'm just going to mix up those words all day today. And I would say it's definitely going to be something, if you want to use her, it's going to be something in the future you're going to want to farm. Now the question, of course, is should you be pulling on this upcoming banner tonight? And the first category is going to say, my mama says pull. TMR is God tier. You're going to use this thing. Definitely worth it. Very revealing waifu if you're into that type of thing. Drain Force, Hazard Break, Crit Build. If you already have a maxed out Tetrasulfid card, it's only going to make Oldoa that much more stronger. And of course, Ravies is such an interesting character, I would kind of want to use her. Now on the other side, Giant says no. The unit's kind of meh. It doesn't bring anything really except Drain Force, like the ability to make a Drain Force build. You're not going to be forming your team necessarily around her. Final Fantasy Tactics 2 is next week. Agrius and Victora are both hard counters, and both of them are very prevalent in the game right now and in the near future. So I would say you're probably going to want to hold off on pulling. My approach is I'm going to pull a few times for her. If I don't get her, that's okay. If I get her in the future, I'm just going to put her on hard quest farm and just kind of work on that slow grind towards her TMR. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I do appreciate it. If you are going to buy Amazon coins, make sure you use my affiliate link, dig.gs/coins, or if you want your special discount offer, go to dig.gs/offer. Of course, as well, if you are planning on, you know, reaching out to the community or pulling on pull night tonight, you can come join us on Twitch at dig.gs/twitch. I will be live when the servers go up tonight, hopefully, assuming there's no maintenance, which there probably will be. So make sure you come stop by and say hi. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.